First set was horrific. It was in Lafayette.
Yeah.
Went to a bar. We're all gonna do 5 minutes. Here's the light. That means you have 1 minute left. And I got to go up, and I had a yeast infection at the time. So I had a f***ed up genital situation, so I said, I'm gonna talk about that. I go up, I'm bombing, nobody cares. I sucked, I didn't know how to write a joke. And the guy is hitting me with the light. But it was so far away that I thought he was like you know when a rock band is killing and you hit the lighter? Yeah. I thought he was like waving like, hell yeah, you're cooking, baby. And I just kept going, and then he cut the mic on me.
Oh.
And I remember being, hearing hey, never leave an empty stage, the show must go on, so I kept going. And then eventually I looked to the side of the stage and he's going, get the f off of there, you idiot.
Mark Normans, what up, man?
Good to be here.
I like the, hey.
I want to get like the Michael Jordan, the dunking silhouette that they have for him, for Air Jordan. I want to get that for me with this.
Well, we run a branding agency, man. We can take care of that.
Please, somebody make that. I'll buy it.
We'll get a photo of you afterward. We'll create a silhouette.
Yes.
We'll launch a shoe brand.
Well, I don't know about a shoe brand, but I'm not really the most athletic. But, give me a T-shirt. I'll wear it. Yeah.
If you could start any brands outside of comedy you like, what do you think you would start?
I like advertising because it's basically jokes. It's like it's quick, it's succinct, get the message out and have it pop and catchy.
Yeah, because I think comedy is about changing perspectives or shifting emotions or catching people off guard.
Sure.
Kind of like similar to comedy, I guess.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I still remember this. I saw a billboard and it said, it was Christmas time, and it said J&B Scotch. You can't have Christmas without J&B. Ingle L's. You get it? I mean, that's brilliant. When I saw it as a kid, it blew my mind, and that's basically it's kind of a joke.
It's like a bit.
It's a bit, yeah. But that was a great ad, and I still remember it, and I saw that fucking, 35 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, and I understand that you're from New Orleans.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so how did you end up in New York?
Well, I grew up in New Orleans, drunk, idiot, loser kid with a bunch of jack-off friends, vandalizing the city and just drinking, and I failed out of 3 colleges. I was a waiter, I was a busboy, I moved furniture, I was a janitor. I just had all these kind of dead-end jobs, and then I tried an open mic, and I was like, this is something. I actually cared about it. You try all these things and you don't really give a shit. You're just doing it to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play the piano, and then you give that up, and maybe I'll do karate, and you give that up. So I did comedy, and it's stuck, and then you meet all the comedians, and it's like this team and camaraderie, and you're all weirdos together.
Yeah.
And these band of misfits, you come together, and then one guy goes, I'm moving to New York, because there's no comedy club in New Orleans. It's not really a comedy city. They don't embrace comedy. It's jazz, it's music, it's parades and Mardi Gras and culture and food and architecture, but there's not comedy. So I always want to live in New York. So we hightailed it to New York, moved to Brooklyn, got mugged 3 times in a year, got bed bugs, and did open mics every night, got a job as a janitor, and then I just made it as a comedian.
So how old were you when you started the first mic?
I think I was 22 when I did the first one, and it was so scary that I had to wait. I waited like 6 months till I did it again, because I was like, I can't do it again. It was too hard for me. Too much mind fuck. I couldn't do it.
Really? Yeah. Were you like a funny guy, like in college?
Totally, a goofball, class clown in high school. I won that, and I was obsessed with comedy. I was obsessed with Norm Macdonald and George Carlin and Bill Murray and SNL and Eddie Murphy and all that shit. Loved In Living Color and anything comedy I knew about, but I had such a low self-esteem and no self-worth that I was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It was like being an astronaut, It was a million miles away.
So how did you write your first jokes before you got on to do your first set?
I took a speech class.
Okay.
Because I was like, this is something. It's some way to be in front of people talking. And I did a speech class, and I killed in my speech. And then I was like, all right. And I just used the speech class tools they taught me, and I tried that with stand-up. And it didn't work because they're 2 different animals, but at least it got me going.
Yeah.
And then I just did open mics for years, which is brutal.
Yeah.
And then moved to New York.
Yeah, so you were like 26, 27 when you moved to New York?
Oh, no, it's probably like 23.
Okay.
I moved quick because there was zero comedy. There's a little more now, but there was zero comedy in New Orleans.
So you found your crew, they kind of embrace your weirdness, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is my crowd.
Your crowd, you drive 3 hours together to go to a gig, and it's all meaningless. You do 5 minutes in Lafayette, which is 3 hours away from New Orleans. But you're in a car with these three idiots, and you're all drunk, and you're all saying horrible things, and you're laughing. And it's comedy is a great craft and all this, but it was also the lifestyle I liked.
Yeah.
You know, like people go, you're driving 3 hours for what? Oh, we're gonna do a little open mic for 5 minutes. Oh, how much does that pay? Oh, it doesn't pay anything. You actually have to pay sometimes to get on the open mic. And they're like, what are you, crazy? Why would you do that? You're like, I don't know, it's fun. I want to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So like when you went on stage the first time, did you bomb? Like, did you do well? Like, what happened?
Oh, first set was horrific. It was in Lafayette.
Yeah.
Went to a bar. We had a comedy meeting. All the comics met up. You go outside and they go, all right, we're all going to do 5 minutes. Here's the light. That means you have 1 minute left. Here's the order. Here's going to, they put it on the wall. You're third, you're fifth, whatever. And I got to go up. And I had a yeast infection at the time. I had what they call jock itch. I was hooking up with a really loose lady at the time. So I had a fucked up genital situation. So I said, I'm going to talk about that. I go up, I'm bombing, nobody cares. I sucked. I didn't know how to write a joke. And the guy is hitting me with the light. But it was so far away that I thought he was like you know when a rock band is killing and you hit the lighter? Yeah. I thought he was like waving like, hell yeah, you're cooking, baby. And I just kept going. And then he cut the mic on me.
Oh.
And I remember being, hearing hey, never leave an empty stage. The show must go on. So I kept going. And then eventually I looked to the side of the stage and he's going, get the fuck off of there, you idiot. And I was like, oh, geez. So I got off. But I bombed horribly, but I still liked it enough to keep going.
Yeah, what was it that you got from it, do you think?
I think it was just a purpose. Like, first it's a challenge of like, let me see if I can figure this out. Let me see if I can make these people laugh. Because the first time you play a video game, you walk 2 feet.
Shit.
Yeah, and then you get killed by a Koopa Troopa or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you try again, and you get a little further, and then eventually you beat it. And I think that's what comedy was. I was like, let me see if I can go a little further.
Hit, you got a little buzz from it, you're like, let me go again. But you waited 6 months.
Yeah, it was just because it was so humiliating, and it's so kind of a little bit of a trauma where you're like, Jesus, that was fucking, but you're in the shower going, oh, what was that? what was I thinking? People are watching you, and then you assume they're in their kitchen cooking, going, that guy was a fucking idiot, huh? So it really sucked. Yeah. But you go, what else am I doing? Let me try again.
Yeah, yeah. And then how long did it take till you kind of like started to get good?
Man, it took a while.
Yeah.
It's so much failure, because you got to think, let's say you do one open mic a night. You did 5 minutes. So trying to learn something in 5 minute increments takes years. Yeah. Like if you were going to learn how to play the guitar and I gave you a guitar for 5 minutes and I took it away.
Yeah.
So that's the hard thing about comedy is you need an audience, you need a microphone, you need seats in a building and all these things. So that makes it take so much longer. So I figured, all right, let me try to do like 8 open mics a night.
Oh, wow.
And you could only do that in New York.
Yeah.
So you're on a train here, you're going to Bushwick, Queens, New York, Manhattan, you're going up and down, and you're trying to make them all. Then while you're on the train, you're fixing the joke, and then you go up again and again. And that was kind of how I did it.
Yeah,
and
so you just went hard when you came to New York.
You got to go hard, or else it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's like Kobe Bryant. I'm not saying I'm Kobe Bryant, but like he would say, all right, how long do you practice? 4 hours. All right, I'll do 5. And then after a year, I have whatever an hour is every day for a year. I have 360 more hours of practice than you.
Yeah, so you're like compressing time frames and trying to get more work in.
Yes.
So you can exercise your craft. And we chatted to Mark Gagnon about this, and he was saying that like being a comic is kind of like when you get on stage, you take another brick out of the wall and reveal more of yourself. As you go through it. And it was an interesting perspective because he was explaining it like you're discovering yourself.
Yeah, I don't feed into that.
No. Well, how do you
process.
That's cool,
That's
man.
just not mine.
How do you see the process? Like how does it
I think it's about being funny. I think if you can shed some skin or find out who you are, that's all great, but to me that's secondary to being funny.
Okay.
So if you can find that while being funny, great, and that's probably better.
Yeah.
But I think the funny comes first.
So when you say funny, like how would you define that? Like, how do you define someone being funny or not?
I mean, that's a tough question. It's like, how do you define someone being attractive? Like,
Yeah.
well, that's the cool thing about funny is it's this weird, magical little gay pixie dust that's on something. Like, some words are just funnier than other, and you
Yeah.
can't really compute why. It's just the way, like a fart is funny.
Yeah.
There's noise coming out of your ass. That's funny. But like,
Yeah.
why is that funny? I don't know, and it just is.
Yeah.
And so you got to always keep tinkering, and you're like, it might be funnier if I say queef instead of fart.
Right, so even the landing of the word
Oh yeah,
denotes a totally different outcome in the audience.
completely. And the way
Yeah.
you say it fast, you say it slow, you say it loud, you say it soft. All that is makes a difference.
Yeah, do you think there's like kind of like an underlying recipe that everyone kind of adheres
Yes.
to, or do you think everyone just totally finds their own different style?
I think the good ones find their own way, and they know the fundamentals, and they can do it in their own way.
Yeah.
But that's what we call hack. When someone goes up and he goes like, black people and white people are different, huh? Let me tell you why. Men and women, or whatever, whatever the airplane peanuts is the classic hack line. But like, it's been done. We've already realized it. But you get a guy like Mitch Hedberg. I don't know if you know about him.
No.
Oh, you don't know Hedberg?
No, man. I'll check him out.
Check him out. He's a game changer. But he was a heroin addict who would do one-liners, and one of his lines was, "I like rice because it's." Oh shit! I'm gonna fuck. Hold on. I like rice because it's great when you're hungry for 2,000 of something. So like 2,000 great. You're like, that's a fucked up, crazy thought, but it's funny. But it's so outside the box than the traditional kind of joke.
Yeah.
But it's still funny.
Yeah.
He had another joke where he goes, "I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too." You're like, whoa! No one heard this kind of format before for
Yeah.
writing a joke, and so when you can really make it your own, you still know the tools and the fundamentals, but you can make it your own and change it almost a little. That's
Yeah.
like Pulp Fiction. He put the whole fucking movie out of order,
Yeah.
but it works.
Yeah.
He knows how to make a movie, but he made it in an original way.
Gotcha. So do you think that people kind of have to figure out the fundamentals before they can go back and like really do their own thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
Unless you're some weird savant, gifted person who can just spit out.
Yeah.
But that's pretty rare.
Did you have anyone kind of take you under the wing and like show you how to the ropes of like comedy and how to get things done, or did you just totally have to figure it out yourself?
You got it. Comedy's such a selfish thing, occupation, that like everybody's just out for themselves, and it's so hard that you're scrounging to get your own success, so it's hard to really lend a hand. It's
Yeah.
almost like you're sinking, and then someone else is sinking, and you're like, well, we're both sinking here, so I can't help you, and you can't help me.
Yeah.
But you can get some success, and then go, I'm a millionaire now. I'm a household name. I'm gonna throw this guy a bone, that guy a bone. So
Yeah.
you do what you can with the. With the success you get, you can kind of go, hey, you want to open for me?
Yeah.
Hey, let me help you with that joke or whatever. So the little things, but those go a long way when you're a young comic.
Yeah. Did you have like ever like a moment where someone like that was killing it in the comedy scene like sat down with you and was like, hey man, like here's a nugget, like here's something?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and that
Yeah.
meant the world to me. Like Bill
Yeah.
Burr was always one time
Oh, I love Bill Burr, man.
he's the king.
Yeah.
One time I opened for him, and he was super nice and was like, wow, that joke's great. You could say this, this, and this. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's great. And just the fact that he took the time to listen
Yeah.
and then go, that's great, and I bet there's more there. You got to blow that out a little bit. And I did blow it out a little bit on his advice. But stuff like that. Seinfeld gave me a shout out on a...
Oh, wow.
I was bombing in Buffalo, New York at a comedy club. There was like 8 people there. Eating shit, covered in sweat. I get off stage, I walk into the green room, I'm like, woo, boy, that was tough. And my phone's blowing up, and they're like, some guy goes, Seinfeld's talking about you on a news show or a broadcast thing. And I looked it up, and he was like, yeah, it's a comedian I like, Mark Norman. And I was like, I immediately sent to my mom. Yeah, but it just shows like I was eating my ass at this club, and then this guy I grew up watching, look up to, is talking about me. So those little things will keep you going for 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. What did he say that he liked about your comedy?
Well, somebody goes, who are the up and coming guys we should keep an eye out for? And he was like, there's this guy I like, Mark Norman, because he's like a psycho about comedy like I am.
Yeah.
So that was like, hey, I've been called a psycho so many times, but never in a good way.
Yeah, never from Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah,
Cool,
yeah,
man.
that too. Because I got that shit all the time. Do you really need to do 5 sets? Well, what do you? All right, easy, buddy. Come on. What are you, some kind of weirdo? And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to get good. I'm not trying to attack you.
Yeah.
But I got that a lot starting out.
No, I saw him in an interview recently, and someone was talking to him about how he sees comedy, and he was explaining it like he was obsessed. He's like, my whole life was bits.
Yeah.
And, like, hunting them down, writing them down. He's like, my whole existence was like, how do I write the best joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that because you can't beat it.
Yeah.
You can get better at it, but you can never really master it, and I think that keeps everybody into it.
Do you think there's a thing in comedy where like people kind of hit the market with relevance and then they kind of struggle to kind of stay at the top of the pack?
Definitely. There's a lot of right place, right time comics or good-looking comics, and a lot of them tend to go to movies because comedy is a very blue-collar, hard-working job. If you're like a Bill Burr is a good example, or Jim Gaffigan, these people, Brian Regan, Seinfeld, who just keep going into their 70s and 80s, Don Rickles. It's such a hard thing to keep doing because you build an hour. That's what it's all about, the hour. And then you put that out on Netflix, and then you have to build another hour out of thin air.
Yeah.
So you're making something out of it. It's like one thing to make a house. That's not easy either, but you have the wood, you got the blueprint, you got the plaster and the bricks. There's nothing here, and I got to think of one thing, then I got to think of another thing, then I got to think of it and connect it. And each joke takes weeks to figure out, but you need 100 of them to make an hour or whatever it is, and it's daunting. So it's a rare breed that sticks with that.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me about comedy is it kind of forces people to stay really humble.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because if you are doing stadiums and you're selling out tickets, great, but they still go to like a small club.
Yeah,
like 20 people, not for the money, just purely to test material.
Yes.
And I think there's this constant flywheel of like, master the set, back to the beginning.
Right.
Right? Whereas a lot of other careers, they're like, I don't want to do that because I'm like better now, and that's like beneath me. But a comedy seems to be like constantly resetting and rebuilding.
It's the ball up the hill, Sisyphus or Syphilis, whatever his name was. But yeah, it's that, and comedy is all failure. It's mostly failure.
Yeah.
So it's
with a sexy word. It's comedy.
Yeah. It's mostly failure. That's why 99.9 people eventually fluff off.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
You know, a movie, you're like, hey, movie actor. Everybody loves actors, but I'm like, they're just reading lines that someone else wrote. Not saying acting isn't amazing, but it's not. You know, like Daniel Day-Lewis and Meryl Streep and all these people, there's some great actors.
Yeah.
But they're not doing most of the legwork, you know? Like, the comic has to go out and eat shit in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then get back on a plane, go home, rewrite it, go eat shit in Philadelphia, and then come back. So they call them the warriors of show business.
Yeah.
And we're the lowest rung. You know, like Jeremy Piven is on the TV show, he's in movies, and then the movies dry up, so he's like, I'll do stand-up. And you're like, you're gonna go do the hardest thing now?
Yeah.
But there's no barrier to entry with stand-up. Meaning like you don't have to learn to play the ukulele to be a stand-up. You can just get up there and talk.
Yeah.
So that kind of fucks us because people don't think of it as this incredibly difficult craft. But
right, so like celebrities have like this sheen of like, you know, success, and like they're an actor and all the rest of it. It's like there's accolades and like aspirational components to it, but like comedy, it's so easy to get into. It's just not as appreciated or like admired. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think good comedy, you're like, whoa, we all love Chris Rock. We adore him. He's up on a pedestal. But he had to learn that or earn that. Yeah. But you see Leonardo DiCaprio and Chris Rock walk into a room. You go, I want to talk to Leo. Look at this guy. Yeah. He's handsome. He's famous. He's a cool guy. Chris Rock, like, oh, cool. Chris Rock's here. Yeah. He's not handsome. You know, he's just a goofball. Yeah. But his job is way harder than Leo.
Got you. Yeah.
No offense to Leo.
No.
But
shout out to Leo.
Yeah.
He's listening.
Today's episode has been brought to you by Rival, my agency. Now, if you're listening to this and you're a business owner and you're struggling on how to get your brand to go to the next level, then we're offering you a free discovery call with myself and my team. All you have to do is go to rival.com, rivyl.com. You need a name for your company. You want to do package design. You need to do photography. Whatever it is, we got you end to end. So just go to rival.com, rivyl.com, smash the link for a free call.
Do you think that like there's something particular in the New York culture that is calling for comedy? Like if somewhere like New Orleans doesn't have a scene, like why does New York have a scene?
Yeah.
Is it because it's been here for so long? Is it because of the culture and how people operate here? Like,
it's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I think comedy is an American art form. It started here. But I think New York is, it's full of arts. It's got Broadway and jazz clubs and music and all this stuff. You know, the Lincoln Center, ballet, symphony. And comedy here is kind of taken more seriously. There's 11 comedy clubs in the city. Plus you have crazy tourism. Millions of people flock to New York, all over the country, all over the world.
it feels like a giant Disneyland.
Yes, yes.
Because when we were walking around the main streets, we're like, how many of these people are locals? They look like they're from all over the place.
Yeah. And people need something to do.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll go see a Broadway show. It's $500 a ticket. Let's go see a comedy show.
It's $50.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, maybe Kevin Hart will pop in. Maybe Jerry Seinfeld will pop in. So that's alluring too. And 9 million people live here.
Yeah.
So I think all those factors together make it the best city for comedy.
Yeah. And then back to the fundamentals, like what do you think they are for comedy? Like what are like the, kind of like the, you know, maybe not in every case, but like the main things that you have to kind of be aware of as a comic on stage?
Oh boy, that's tough. That's a whole nother, that's a pod in itself, that question. But I think you got to surprise an audience. I mean, there's so many layers to this. First off, you have to, let's say the crowd doesn't know who you are. Like I got a couple of fans now who will come out and see me and they get me, they know me, so I can just be myself. But with a new comic, where the crowd doesn't know you, you have to earn their trust. You have to be interesting enough immediately and captivating enough immediately that they do give a shit. Because I used to walk on stage and they would go, what were we doing later? Like they would just see me and they're like, there's nothing interesting about this guy.
Yeah.
I might have had a couple funny jokes, but I didn't grab them immediately. And so that's part of it.
So you gotta have like a thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
That's why like, I'm the fat comic, I'm the black guy, I'm the gay guy. Like that's why a lot of people
have the guy thing.
Yeah, they go towards that because it's a quick way to grab you. And so then first there's that. Then you got to say something funny out of the gate. We also say something funny that's not divisive, because you know it's almost like an appetizer. Here's the appetizer first. I'm not going to give you a steak right away. I got to give you the app first, and the water, and then the bread, and then the lunch, and then the dinner, whatever it is. So you got to kind of take it slow. You can't just go up to a woman and fist her. You know, you got to go, hey, can I buy you a drink? Hello. And you want to fist her, but you got to do all the other shit first just to not look like a psycho. Yeah, you got to have some foreplay.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to sex, where like eventually I'm jizzing on your face, but in the beginning I gotta go, hello, my dear, and let me buy you a cocktail and all that. You know, you got to play the game. And stand-up's very similar.
Yeah.
But when you have your fans, you can just jizz right on them immediately, and they love it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to build that crowd. You have to build a tribe around yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when, I guess, you start to get like your own shows and your own tours, and is that like when a comic's like made it, when you can like travel and sell out? Is that like the dream?
Making it is different. For me, making it is having enough money from comedy to pay for your life. Like you don't have to be rich, you don't have to be famous, you don't have to sell out an arena. Just doing comedy as a occupation alone, to me, is making it.
Yeah.
Just as a guy who fucking worked on a construction site, it's good to be able to just pay. You're telling jokes and making a living. That's an insane notion. But you still want to go further. You want to make more money. You want to make more fans. You want to be able to sell out everywhere. I think selling out everywhere is really the real making it of like, oh, we're doing the Columbus Funny Bone, and we added 2 shows.
Right.
So there's such a demand that they add shows. That's really a great feeling.
Yeah, and you recently came to Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did 3 at the Elmore.
Yeah, in Sydney.
Is it Elmore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Enmore.
Enmore, there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cool old school
Great room.
theater.
Great room.
It's really like tight.
Totally.
Yeah.
Had a blast. I didn't want to leave Sydney. I love Sydney.
Yeah.
Australia is really that's a magical place.
Yeah.
Especially for an American, because we're kind of doing this thing in America where we're like imploding on ourselves right now. Like everybody's mad at everybody and there's so much political division and racial.
Politics, there's war on the,
Yeah.
it's
Men
a lot,
versus
man.
women, trans, this and all that. And like, I feel like Australia, you guys are like, what are y'all fighting about? What? We're going surfing. Give me a beer. And this woman is the hottest lady I've ever seen in my life. So you guys had your COVID shit got a little wild.
Yeah, we turned into a prison for 2 years.
Yeah, that was shocking over here. I was like, you guys are the fun one. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, it was kind of like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
we need to loosen up a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, there was one point where, because I was living in Victoria, which is like near Melbourne, and for like 260 days out of that 2 years, we basically couldn't leave the house. Pretty crazy.
That's insane.
But now everything's open again. It's great,
Okay.
man. We're fine. Yeah, but
yeah, I always say Australia feels like America in the 80s. It's just like fun. The dudes are still like kind of tough. The women are hot. You go surfing. The sun is shining. You're just kind of living life out
Yeah.
there, and you're having fun. There is a bit of a ceiling in Australia. I feel
Yeah.
like comedically, like you gotta kind of get out. You know, if
once you like funny, like okay, now like let's go to America.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or with a lot of things, like I want to act. Let me be Mel Gibson, and I got to go to Hollywood. Or what's that other guy's name? Eric Bana.
Chris Hemsworth.
Hemsworth, perfect
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron, whatever.
Yeah,
No,
man,
wait, she's South African. Sorry.
Dude, the Hemsworths are like idols in Australia.
Yeah.
I remember I was living in a place called Maroochydore, and there's like this bluff overlooking the ocean, and where there's like waves coming in and people are surfing. And one day the Hemsworth brothers were sitting on the cliff face, looking at the waves, drinking a beer.
Yeah.
And then like 300 meters back, like 1,000 women in like a semicircle, just like, oh my god.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
And they just
perfect.
kept turning around and waving, and then going back to watching the surf. And no one wanted to go near them. It was
Wow.
like royalty. They're just like, just let them.
Let him be in the wild.
Yeah, let them be in the wild. So.
Don't disturb the leopards.
But there's a ceiling, man. Like we got some great comics. Like we had a guy, dude. If you look this up online, it's pretty savage. A guy named Rodney Rude was like big in the '80s.
Okay.
Real foul, like black comedy.
Uh-huh.
And then we have like Carl Barron. I don't know if you know him, or Arj Barker.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he kind of made it in the U.S., I guess. And then we had like what's the name of that? Flight of the Conchords. They're kind of like
Oh, yeah.
they're like
yeah.
they're New Zealand, but like we're kind of
Yeah.
New Zealand and Australia are kind of like
They were huge here for a couple of years.
yeah.
Huge. They're on a TV show on HBO.
Yeah, but how'd you tour in Australia go?
I always wanted to. I did the Melbourne Comedy Festival in like 2015.
Yeah.
And I had a great time, but that festival, it kind of keeps you in a little box. I didn't really get to do the whole city.
Yeah.
And this one, I was like, I want Perth, I want Adelaide, I want Brisbane, I want Melbourne, I want Sydney, and I want New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I did the whole fucking gamut, and
Hell yeah, man.
I had a blast.
Yeah, how'd you find the audience work like compared to the U.S.? Did you have to write different jokes for like the Australian market versus?
No, I mean, I did my Australia chunk about quokkas and Aboriginals and all that. And it's fun coming in as the outsider.
Yeah.
Because you guys do that fucking, that little speech in the beginning. Hello, we're on a stolen land, and we have to acknowledge that this is, we're not
Yeah.
giving it back, but we're acknowledging it. And I always thought that was hilarious and a funny way to start a comedy show. So I
Yeah.
would come out, and I'm like, look, I don't live here. This ain't my problem. I'm going to shit all over that speech. And the audience was like, thank you. We can't do it, so you do it.
Yeah,
And
we
that
can't
was
say
fun.
anything. It's kind of like one of those topics you just can't touch it.
Of course, of
Yeah,
course.
but they're like, oh, a foreigner can do it.
Right.
They don't know any better. It's not their fault.
Yeah. And I did it. I went to Berlin and I just did all Nazi jokes, and that was fun. So that's kind of what the essence of comedy. Like, let me come in here and break the ice a little bit, and it was fun. And the crowds, I thought, were hot as hell. And I just changed a couple things, like grocery store names are different. You guys don't have Venmo. You have, what's your pay?
Venmo?
Venmo's our pay, online pay.
Oh, what do we use for that?
I forgot the name of it.
Stripe
Maybe.
or PayPal or
Yeah, it's like a PayPal type thing, but it was some other word.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it was, but I changed it to that because
Yeah.
I had a Venmo joke. So just stuff like that was my only tweak.
Yeah, yeah. And what's next for you, man? Like, you did the Netflix special, you've had a YouTube one. It seems like you're blowing up on socials. I'm seeing you on everyone's pods.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Yeah.
I just want to keep going. I got a new hour cooking. I want to eventually put that down on a Netflix special or something. And I just want to keep growing. And to me, it's about maintaining. I never thought I'd be here.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep this.
Fuck, how do I just not fuck this up?
Yeah. And I look at it almost like a wife where you're like, I like this. I don't want to lose it. I'm not trying to go to arenas. That doesn't entice me. Movies aren't really for me. So I like exactly where I am. I'm making a good living. I'm doing theaters, sometimes adding shows at theaters. I have my friends. We hang out. I like New York. I like my life. I want to maintain.
Yeah.
I'm not shooting for the moon here.
Yeah. And you said you had a lady?
I got a wife.
Yeah.
I got married about a year ago. I'd say I give it another 6 months. No, just kidding. But we're doing great. We're moving on up. We're trying to have a couple of Rugrats.
Hey.
And that's the next thing in my life.
Yeah, awesome, man. And do you think like something I'm interested in is like the dynamic of being a comic, right? It seems like a lot of the work is at nighttime.
Yeah.
So is this like kind of like you're a chef, like you have to wake up at lunchtime and like work late into the night?
Yeah. Well, now things have changed so much because comedy's like crazy popular right now. We're in a boom for sure.
I would say you guys are the new Hollywood.
You think?
Yeah, I would debate that because like if you look at Joe Rogan, if you look at Andrew Schultz, you look at like Bill Burr, like people are way more excited to see these people and like think about it this way, like if a celebrity came to town and had a keynote, like they wouldn't sell as many tickets as a comic.
Yeah, and they're definitely not as, put an actor on stage. They're not interesting. Who cares about what Johnny Depp thinks unless you talk about the trial?
Yeah.
Talk about shitting on the bed.
Could you imagine if he came out and became a comic? And that was like his first bit.
Yeah, but you can't be a comic and have that many scarves and that hat and a British accent for some reason. Yeah. So you got to make fun of that. Comics make fun of those things. You can't be that. It doesn't work. But wait, what was the question? Oh yeah, the new Hollywood. I don't know. I think we're a little too guerrilla.
Yeah.
Meaning like we do our own shit at our own time. You go to Hollywood, you shoot something now, and it's like, all right, first you got to get a COVID test. Then we got union rules, so you got to eat lunch now, and then we'll do a couple hours here, and then she's got to wrap because she's not that old yet, or whatever. And you're like, fuck this. We'll just shoot this in 10 minutes on an iPhone in my apartment, and it'll be just as funny. Yeah. So, yeah, I think those days are numbered because it's just so much more convenient. Look at this. I mean, we're in a fucking peyote tent about to blow each other and talking to the gods. So this is way better. Yeah,
this is way more fun. And like in the comedy scene, do you think that networking and building relationships has a big role to play in your success, or is it just purely like just be funny?
Well, I think you got to be funny, and I think comics will help you more in this business than the industry.
Yeah.
So I think you got to have good relationships. You got to be cool to all the comics and help each other and try to have like a camaraderie, prop each other up. So I think that's the relationship you want to keep, those relationships. And like I run 2 podcasts, both with old friends. Like 2 guys, I moved to New York, we made friends early, and now we run podcasts together. So now we're in a business together.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key. Like a Rogan has all his friends on every now and then. He'll have the Protect Our Parks guys or Joey Diaz will come on, or an old pal, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. How many guests have you had on the pod so far?
It's countless.
Yeah. You guys shooting multiple times a week? Or?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Yeah, we do work at night, but now with comedy so popular, pods take up your whole day.
Yeah.
So
you're like podding during the day, doing comedy at night.
Yeah.
Now you have to like live both sides of the day.
Yeah, and the pod sells tickets, so you kind of have to do it because we want to be stand-ups. So you want people to show up to the show, so you got to do the pod to sell the tickets to the show.
Yeah. What do you think is like the necessity now for comedy to have a pod? Right, because like I feel like maybe comedians 10 years ago would have an agent, and then that's how like people will go see comedy. Whereas now it's like they have a podcast, they have an agent, they make content, they have Instagram, they have TikTok. Like it seems like there's a lot of pressure to create a lot more media now.
Yes, this is all new. Like before, the beauty of being a comic was you woke up at noon, wrote a couple jokes, smoked some weed, got your lunch, played video games. It's 8 o'clock, I'll go do a show.
Yeah.
And that was your day. And now it's like you wake up, you do 2 podcasts, you got to book guests for the next podcast. Then you gotta post a clip, so you gotta edit the clip, caption the clip, post it all on TikTok. Think of a funny tweet. What's a funny tweet? And you gotta read the news too, because you gotta know. Okay, I gotta write a joke about P. Diddy. I gotta write a joke about Kanye. I gotta write a joke about Alec Baldwin shooting a lady or whatever the fuck it is. So you gotta have jokes on that too, and then you gotta go out at night and then do the jokes and then rewrite the jokes because they're not working well enough, and so it's a lot of plate spinning.
Yeah.
But I still would take that over roofing.
Do you have like a team helping you other than the pod and what you're doing with your friends?
A little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. I got a guy over here and a guy over there, and I throw him a couple bucks. Can you edit this? Can you caption that? Hey, can you shoot this? So I got a few guys, but it's not like a well-oiled machine or anything.
No. Do you think if like things keep progressing and accelerating the way they are, you're gonna have to kind of like put a little crew together and like figure it out, or?
Probably, yeah. Which would be kind of cool to have your own business, but then if you start having all these responsibilities, you're like, well, what the hell did I get? I got in this to not have responsibilities, and now, like you look at a guy like Joe Rogan, he's like, the industry, fuck these gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And then you go, hey, this guy wants to do your pod. He goes, no, not him. And you're like, well, now you're kind of a gatekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
So you gotta keep tabs on becoming the thing you hate. You gotta watch out for that.
Yeah. And do you find that like going on the other people's pods feeds just shows as effective as your own show, or like do you think having your own show is like the thing that you need to be doing?
I think both. I think that your own show really behooves you. You gotta, like, comics like, I don't want to do a pod. I'm like, I don't want to do it either, but you got to do it because it does help. And then I think going on other people's pods helps bring people to your pod.
Yeah.
And now we're doing kind of a crossover thing.
Yeah.
Like I think LA in like 2014, 13, that was like a really heyday because it was like Santino would go on Theo, and then Theo would go on Bobby Lee, and then Bobby Lee would go on Segura, and they really helped each other, and they all blew up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little tornado.
Yeah.
Because I was watching all their pods.
The same.
Because they're all like collabing, and then like I think I saw one with like Chris D'Elia swapped with someone, and he was making fun of them as though he was them on his pod.
Yes. And you got to know all of them.
They're all just fucking with each other, and it's just really funny.
It was like action figures. You
Yeah,
got
that's how
this
I
guy, you got
discovered
that
all
guy.
of them. Yeah, I discovered like Theo and Chris D'Elia and like all these characters, like all like within that little system.
Totally. And they all blew up.
Like
and
Brian Callen.
and they all went to the Comedy Store. So the Comedy Store for like 5 years was this magical hub of all this crazy talent, and everyone knew them. Before, comedy was like, let's go to a show and have some laughs. Who's on the show? This will be fun. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, we're going to the show to see Theo.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed the game. And I think also, too, nobody wants to say this, but nobody was giving Theo Vaughn is obviously a hilarious guy. Santino is super talented, funny guy. Nobody was really giving them their own sitcom. That used to be the old way.
Yeah.
And those sitcoms are kind of dying. So then these pods came out, and everybody's like, well, this is funnier than How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Or fucking Big Bang Theory. So let's watch this. Oh, we watched Bobby Lee fuck around? This is funnier than TV. So they made us go there because they wouldn't give us TV anymore.
Yeah, and they were saying some outrageous shit, like where Bobby Lee was
that
talking
too.
about sucking dicks. And I was like, what are you talking about, man?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's talking about his trauma and he's making jokes about himself, and I'm like, man, this is unreal. Like you'll never get this in a sitcom anywhere.
Never get a sitcom, and we love it. It's like Kill Tony.
Yeah,
you familiar with Kill
I've been
Tony?
addicted to Kill Tony, man.
Everybody loves Kill Tony, but it's basically American Idol or The Voice or one of these judge shows.
They're just ripping on these people, having a crack at a minute is ridiculous.
Yes, it's pretty brilliant because you don't want too much of these guys.
Yeah. So to describe the show to the listeners, like if you look up Kill Tony, it's like a panel, and they'll have like 2 guests. And I saw the one that you were on, the episode that you were on. Mm-hmm. And then they have Kill Tony, or what's his name? Tony Clifton?
Hinchcliffe.
Tony Hinchcliffe. And then the guy next to him, Red Man.
Red Band.
Yeah, and then there's a band, and they get a bunch of strangers in Texas to like come on stage and do a minute.
Yes.
And then they roast them on their minute or praise them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're great, and a lot of people have broken from the show, but it's American Idol, which was a huge show in America, but you can call a guy a retard. So it's like America. It's like you said, you can say horrible shit. So it's the best of both worlds. You get this great judge panel show, like a talent show, but we can trash you and say whatever we want and get drunk, and the band is behind you, and there's a live audience. I mean, it's a brilliant format.
Yeah, and he was underground for like a long time.
Yes, like totally.
10 or 11 years he's been doing this, but now he's like one of the biggest shows on YouTube.
Easily. He's doing he's doing Madison Square Garden, he's doing the Forum, so and people, some people knock the shows like they're so mean to these young guys, but like these people sign up, they know what they're getting into. People fly in from all over the world just to get maybe get a minute pulled out of the bucket. So in that way, it's really, it's helped comedy, it's boosted comedy, and then he gets these insane, like Rogan will go on with Tucker Carlson or Ric Flair or a UFC fighter, and you're like, Post Malone is on the show for some reason, you know, and so now you're getting celebrity guests who are in the middle of this fucking circus. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty funny, and you're seeing people do well as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a few guys that went up on stage, did a minute, smashed it. Now they're doing tours.
Yep.
Getting paid.
And the funny thing is, if Tony went to some network, NBC, hey, we got a show to pitch. What do you think? They would go, are you kidding? This is degenerate, idiot, sloppy, offensive, inappropriate. And you go, oh, okay. And that back then, that's when you go, I guess my show sucks.
Yeah.
But now you have the internet, and you can go, well, let's put it up anyway. And it worked.
Yeah.
So fuck the internet, fuck the gatekeepers, because they're clueless. Fuck NBC, all these people.
Yeah. Do you think you have any aspirations to like have your own club one day, like the Mothership? No, nothing like that.
No, that sounds like a nightmare, and I think you got to be insanely rich.
Yeah.
And I think what he did is incredible. It's an amazing club, and nobody talks about this, but it's like his secret weapon. He can go there, do 2 hours of comedy every night on 2 different shows on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then he can go on the road on Friday, Saturday, and blow people's minds because they're like, whoa, where's this material is so well written.
He's created like his own dojo.
Yes. Yeah. And he doesn't have to fly everywhere just to get all that stage time. Yeah. He's got it right in his backyard, and he's such a famous guy that it's going to sell out all the time. Yeah. It's going to sell out every night for years. So it's a pretty genius business model as getting to be a great stand-up.
Yeah. Have you done the Mothership?
Many times.
Yeah.
Great club, great layout, and a comic designed it, so he knew how to make it.
So explain that to me. Like, what's like a good situation for a comic on the stage? Like, what are you hoping that the room has?
Yeah. Well, it's all about. I think it's all about intimacy and no distractions. So at his club, you got to bag up the phones, which is also great. But people go, "What are you gonna say? Horrible shit up there?" And you're like, well, I'm going to say horrible shit that's funny, hopefully. We're not just going up there going, N-words, you know. We're still trying to get laughs here.
Well, so. It's like what happened to Tony Hinchcliffe. Like, you know, he had a big issue with that.
Yeah.
It's just removing that.
Exactly. So, and then that was all out of context, too.
Yeah.
But, so you lock up the phone, so there's no distractions. There's no food there.
Yeah, so people aren't like scrolling, texting, all that shit.
Because it's hard. It's right here. We're addicted to it. Yeah. And you want to take a photo of a celebrity there or whatever. Yeah. So
just like no phone.
No phone.
Everyone's fully focused.
Exactly. And you can't get anybody in trouble. Let me record one word they said out of context and put it on the internet. So that's gone. No food. A lot of these clubs have chicken wings. How are you going to make someone laugh if they're like, ooh, chicken wing, mouthful, watching. No one's laughing. You got a mouthful of food, and you got to order the chicken wing. You got to, when it shows up, the show's over. They don't do chicken wings at Broadway. Yeah. Hamilton, no one's eating a chicken finger. Yeah. So food's out. You want low, black, tight ceilings, tight walls, and you want people to cram together. You just want it to be like almost like a pod of people, like a cocoon. We're all together as a unit. Yeah. And we can all laugh and then not laugh, and laugh and then not laugh. And it's almost like a conversation.
It becomes like a hive mind.
Yes, yes.
Right, so instead of the room being spread out, people are in like little groups of like 5, and they can chat with their friends and check their phones and stuff. Is that what most clubs are like? They're kind of...
The good ones, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get the crowd bunched up and fully attentive to what's happening.
Yeah, and there's so many clubs where like the ceiling is a mile high, and the laughs dissipate and you lose them. or there's a post in the middle of the audience, like a big column, and people are doing this shit. So that's already over. Because you got to think a laugh is so flimsy. It's very fickle. The joke to laugh moment. You know, like if one glass hits the ground, that's over.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like it's tension build, quiet tension, and then you break it with a punchline.
Oh.
So it's all it's hanging on by a thread. Comedy
it's like
already.
Timing, and it's like sensitive.
Yeah. One chair goes, and then people go, "What was that?" And then you missed the joke. So
you're just trying to figure out an in.
Yes.
It's almost like you've got the audience, you've got the premise, you've got like the things that you're stacking, and are you looking for a moment where it like pierces the audience and it's like that's the moment that hits, and then I can build on that.
A little bit, because I don't want to piss the audience off, but I do want to prove them wrong, because they're kind of going, I don't know about this, and I'm going, no, I've worked this out.
Yeah.
And like one of the lines was, young people used to eat weed brownies, and be like, oh man, that's a lot of weed. Now young people eat weed brownies and they're like, that's a lot of sugar, because they're so healthy now, you know. And young people don't drink as much anymore, and they don't have sex as much. So there was a lot going on in there, and yeah, you just got to keep. It's almost like you're a lawyer. You got to keep going. No, I'm right because of this, because of this, because of this, and you want to make those funny.
Building a case and you're stacking it.
Yeah, and it does have to have some big crescendo at the end, which I can't remember what it is now, but yeah, it's got to have a big old twist at the end to tie it all up.
Yeah, is that usually something that's like unexpected, random? Like, does it have to have some ingredients to the crescendo at the end?
Yeah, and with a joke like that, where they're kind of going against each other, I think the end should bring them together.
Okay.
And that's a good way to end it, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember how the fuck.
You divide the audience and bring it back.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're going, that's basically what a joke is. You're going this way long enough, you got to turn it.
Yeah.
Because now you're doing a joke. The whole premise. This is now we're getting heavy nerd shit. But there's a little jokes in there, but eventually the whole thing is a joke.
Okay.
Because a joke is like bring it here, and then twist it. I'm doing jokes, and then I'm twisting the entire premise at the end.
Yeah.
Which the whole thing is a joke.
So you thought the premise was this, but now it's this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you can converge it into other bits.
Yes.
And I guess with the whole structure of comedy, do you feel like with social media that it's morphing stand-up in a different way? Like, do you find that when you go on stage, you mentioned before you do Q&A now at the end of your set. What does that mean? Like, take me through that.
Well, the business of stand-up has changed, but good stand-up kind of still remains. Like, now a guy who's 2 years in or a girl who's a year in can just have one funny joke, put it on TikTok, it'll go viral, and she's kind of famous. Or she's kind of established and now can go sell tickets.
Yeah.
It's really all about selling tickets. And so that was new. That's new. So it's bittersweet because you can blow up and be famous instantly without doing all the grinding and open mics and road work and failure that came with the comic in 2005.
Yeah.
Because there was no TikTok or Instagram.
So you can like find an in now and get like international audience. Like,
yes.
You're big in Australia, even though you've only toured once. But a lot of people are probably going to buy if you go back, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
But that's because of your clips, that's because of your pod. Now you're kind of like not only limited to Australia, but you can go to Europe, you can go to Asia Pacific. So you think like social has broadened the horizons of where you can go. It's
broadened it, but I'm saying that these younger comics can blow up immediately without doing all the hard part. And then I think it's great to blow up and it's exciting, but it's short money. Because then you go to these cities or this club, and you're not that good because you never had to struggle and
like you're Instagram funny, but you're not real life funny.
Yeah, exactly. And you could get there, but most good comics have been doing it at least 10, 15 years. So as much as that struggle sucks, it's like Ozempic. Why would you work out when you can just take the shot?
Yeah.
You know, but the shot is going to actually hurt your discipline, and it hurts your fortitude and like your will, because you should want to go, I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat right, come on, I got to get my shit together. You can just take the shot. It makes things too easy, which is great, but I think you'll pay for it later.
So you think that like...
I think it's better to go through the struggle as much as it sucks.
There's some magic in the struggle.
Yes, and it does fucking suck, and it's long. That's the hardest part for us. We're impatient. You go, I don't want to do 10 years? What are you kidding? Like, imagine if I told you had to go to, you want a podcast?
Yeah.
You gotta work for 10 years, then we'll give you a podcast.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'll just start a podcast. And you're like, all right, but you'd be better at podcasting if we did the 10-year thing.
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna do that. But in comedy and stand-up, I think you're better off doing the 10-year run.
Do you think, like, from your experience, when you've seen someone who's like done well on social, go on stage, and one of the, you know, the guys or gals that's been doing this for decades, like, what is the difference?
Oh man, it's night and day. There's chops. We call it chop. He's got chops. Like,
what does chops mean?
Chops means he's got experience. He can he gets heckled. He can handle it.
Okay.
Glass breaks. He's got a line for that. The lights go out. He can handle it. He forgets a joke. He's got something in his back pocket. He's just prepared. He's got every tool in the belt.
He's a fucking samurai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, imagine like UFC fighters. They have to know how to grapple, how to do jiu-jitsu, stand-up boxing. They have to know all these, like, Muay Thai.
Like, how to handle all of the variables.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you throw just a wrestler in a UFC cage, he's going to get kicked in the face, and it'll be over. So you got to have the whole tool belt, I think, as a stand-up.
How did you start dealing with hecklers? Did you have them early on?
Oh, I still get them.
Yeah.
Still get them. Yeah. They're pretty brutal because, as I said, you're hanging on a string with stand-up already. Even when it's going well, it's flimsy as shit.
Yeah.
It's a house of cards. So when one heckle comes,
you got to be ready.
The whole card drops, and then you have to zing him. Then you have to zing him by not being so mean. You can't just go, "You fucking cunt, I hope you die." And the crowd's like, "Jesus Christ, that's not
like
funny."
Bill Burr in Philadelphia.
Yeah. But he still made it funny. He's like, "You got a statue of Rocky, Walt Frazier's from here. You won't even put him up, you fucking racist." I saw a comic once in New York, and he kept fucking with this guy, and the guy wouldn't laugh. And the guy was just stone-faced, and the comic goes, "Well, what's your problem, man? Why aren't you laughing at anything?" He goes, "Oh, I was just waiting for material." And the comic was fucking floored. He turned into 2 inches tall, and he wasn't even trying to be mean. He was like, "Oh, I just like jokes. I like material. I like the art of stand-up." And you're just going, "What's that shirt all about? Is that your fucking friend, you douche?" You know? And he's like, "I just want to hear some material." And I agree with that guy.
Yeah, it just cooked him.
Yeah, and I was in the audience like, whew, I will be doing material. I don't want to be one of these crowd work guys because, and look, there's some brilliant crowd work. It's an art in itself. It's incredibly hard to do. If you can do it well, it's awesome to watch and very entertaining. But I like ideas. I like a comic where they go up and you go, "Oh, I never thought of it like that. Oh, that's a great point. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's a great take."
Yeah. Yeah. So you explained that you would do Q&A at the end of your set. So, like, I guess, is this separate to the performance or is this an add-on? Like,
it's an add-on. I do like a full 45, 50 minutes in a theater. And then
this is for your show?
Yeah, this is my headlining show.
Oh, you do Q&A right after your show?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
so 45 minutes.
I kind of go through the news. I make some Trump jokes, some Biden jokes, some Elon Musk jokes, some Taylor Swift jokes, just shit, P. Diddy, Mike Tyson, whatever's going on in the world. And then I'll go, "Did I miss anything?" And usually somebody will yell out, "Jake Paul," and I'll riff on Jake Paul.
Yeah.
And then somebody else will go, "Gaza," and I'll riff on Gaza. Hopefully, any Gazans here? Woo! Oh, okay, hopefully only one of us bombs. You say something like stupid like that, and then I kind of go into a Q&A naturally. I don't want to go, "You guys have any questions?"
Right. So this isn't like an official thing, but you kind of like do your material.
Yeah.
And then you like fucking jam out for a bit.
I jam out, and that's where you get the clips.
Yeah.
So when OJ died, somebody yelled, "OJ!" So I riffed on OJ, and it got some laughs. And then the cameraman in the green room, I was like, "Clip that OJ thing." And then I put that on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then here we are. So now I'm not burning any of my act online.
You're creating this extra material.
Extra material.
So you can make it like bits for Instagram, TikTok.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, is there anything at the moment that you're obsessed with outside of comedy that you're pouring your mind into?
Geez, that's a good question. I mean, I'm a big self-help queef. I love all that shit, like what supplements to take. You need sunlight and all that. I think that stuff's really important, especially the more screen obsessed we get.
Yeah.
And I'm really a fan of that. I love skateboarding.
Really, man? Cool.
I grew up skateboarding. I think it's a great sport and all that. I love UFC.
Yeah.
I like any individual sport. Tennis, where it's just you against the other guy.
Yeah.
Or skateboarding's just you against you. It's like mental
you against
shit.
The concrete pavement.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I love all that shit. I started a whiskey I like to drink, which is a fun way of saying alcoholic. And me and my buddy started a whiskey called Bodega Cat. It's a rye. It's available online. And I do love podcasting, doing it, and I listen to probably 5 a day.
Really? Who do you listen to?
Oh, man. I love that Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
He's great.
Stephen Bartlett.
There you go.
Yeah,
Good
amazing
looking guy.
man. Yeah. You seem to be someone that's quite deep intellectually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
Like I've been hanging out with like Schultz and Gagnon and like some of these guys, and like I've noticed like comics are quite introspective. They're quite considered, and they like to think about big ideas. You just think it's like jokes, but it's actually like it requires a lot of like time and cognitive power to figure out how to put a joke together, I think.
Oh, we go deep, baby. Yeah, it's to a detriment. Like, sometimes you just want to check out. I think that's why a lot of us OD and drink, because it's a lot of deep thinking, and then it's a lot of decoding, because so much of the world now is telling you this, but it's actually that.
Yeah.
And so you got to figure out, like, you go, oh, it actually is that, and then you tell people, like, no, it's this, and they think they're 100% right, and you're like, I've done the research and thought about this for hours now. You just read a news article, and so that's a big part of comedy is kind of being alone mentally, and no one trusts you, no one believes you, but you're like, no, it's like you feel like Magellan, like, no, the Earth is round. They're like, no, it's flat, shut up, and they put that fucker in jail.
So you're obsessed with like working on your mind, developing yourself. Do you do like biohacking? You're like one of those guys that jumps in an ice bath and all that stuff?
Nah, I'm too lazy for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I work out every day.
Yeah.
I try to eat a certain amount of right foods and whole foods and all that. And I tried to meditate, kept getting a boner. But I definitely
Just getting sexy thoughts while you're trying to meditate?
Yeah. Definitely all about the mental and the mind and the body's a temple. I totally get all that shit, but I'm not good.
Have you ever gone like one of those like...
I did that, and it didn't work.
Really?
Yeah, well, I got salt in my eye immediately, and it ruined the whole session.
Yeah, they're brutal. Yeah.
Did you get a kick out of it?
The idea for my book came from a float.
Whoa!
Yeah. I'm one of those weird ones, like I lay down in there and I see colors and shit. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I felt like I was on mushrooms, man.
Whoa, man.
Yeah.
See, I wanted that.
Yeah. Maybe try it again.
I'll try it again. It wasn't cheap.
No, it's not.
I'll try it.
Yeah, I did one where you do a infrared sauna for an hour, then you do massage for an hour, then you jump in the tank.
Whoa, that might be the way to do it.
Yeah, because what happens is like you completely sweat out any toxins in the infrared sauna. It's like you're really putting your body under like pressure, and it loosens you up for your massage. Then you get the massage, then you're just jelly.
Whoa, but the sad thing is I hear all that and I go, that's a lot of time without a phone.
Yes.
Isn't that one? That's pretty much what this all comes down to. You could just sit in a park without your phone and you'd probably have some cool thoughts.
Yeah.
But we're too addicted.
We're addicted, man. Yeah, we are.
It's a problem. It's really a problem.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we'll look like Ronnie Chang. He's a comic. He has a great bit where he says, we're going to look at social media like cigarettes. Like, you used Twitter while you were pregnant? It's a great bit. But I think there's some truth to that. And this guy, Jonathan Haidt, is coming out with all these theories and studies and stats about how, like, depression is up on young girls and suicide is up and all this shit.
Yeah, because the comparisons. They're, like, comparing themselves to, like, they're like, I don't look like these, like, supermodels, and it's, like, creating...
Totally.
Yeah.
It's too much coming at people. It's Gaza, it's Ukraine, it's fistfights, it's animal attacks, it's cancel shit and politics and Trump and it's like it's a lot. We used to just sit down and eat. Now we're like we can't
what do we do before phones, man? Yeah.
Yeah, so isn't that weird? But you know what's cool? I watched a movie from like 1982 the other night. No one has a phone and you don't think about it. You're not like, where's everyone's phone? Because I think we know subconsciously that's normal. This is weird.
Yeah.
Like you never dream with your phone. You never in a dream going, you know what I mean? Because it's not what's supposed to be happening.
It's really funny.
I'm not one of these anti-phone guys. I get it. Like with GPS, and you can communicate with a guy in Beijing. You can learn a language. You can read a tutorial on YouTube about how to change a tire and play the guitar. But You got to regulate. It's like alcohol. You shouldn't be drinking alcohol 22 hours a day either.
No.
But alcohol has its benefits. It takes the edge off. It's nice. It's, you know, it's fun.
Yeah, and the worst of it is like when you're like in the toilet. You know,
Yeah.
Just that whole like thing of like how people don't clean their phones and like bacteria and stuff.
Totally. And that, and I think everyone's shitting now 40% longer because of phones. You know, I used to read the Ajax bottle when I was shitting because I was so bored. And now I'm looking at a phone, so I'm like, I'll wait till this video's done, then I'll wipe my ass.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
And then you're like, oh, another one.
Yes.
Oh, another one.
I think hemorrhoids in the phone, I think hemorrhoids went way up.
Yeah.
That's how you get hemorrhoids, is sitting on the toilet too long.
Yeah.
Fun fact. So the phone has definitely kicked the hemorrhoids up.
Yeah. And on a last note, to bring it to a close, like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever done to make a profit?
Oh, wow. Jeez, that's a good question. I think I bet a guy once that I wouldn't snort, or not snort, but like eat a glob of wasabi. Yeah. And I ate it. Yeah. And it sucked. But he was like, I bet you $20 you wouldn't do that. It was like, you know,
you're like
20 years old. Yeah, and I ate the whole thing, and it was bad. Yeah. It was bad. I shit fire. You know, your throat burns. You get that weird sinus pain. It feels like it would never go away. I think I got tased for $1. You know, party. Yeah, I'll give you $1, but let me tase you. So shit like that, which is not, I'm not, you know, doing anything progressive.
Sounds like you're a pretty wild dude when you were young.
We were just bored and feral and drunk.
You just needed phones.
Yeah, that could have saved us.
Yeah, we only had like the Nokia 33010s or whatever back then.
Right, but hey, what about the times you got beat up at school and you never got, no one filmed it? Yeah. How lucky are we? Like, even at your age, you know, I'm 40, people got in fist fights at a party, and that was, you know, hey, Bob lost the fight, but it wasn't like, hey, Bob, you're all over World Star. Yeah. You know, you just lost a fight and you dealt with it.
It's embarrassing. Yeah, because I think I was 13 where we had like those Nokias, like coming to my school.
The who?
The Nokia, like, you know, the...
Oh, Nokia, yeah.
Nokia, yeah, like those like thick phones.
I remember the brick.
And I remember people making fun of kids because they had a phone.
Oh, really?
Like, oh, this loser has a phone.
Whoa.
Needs to call his mommy, you know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That makes more sense, actually.
Yeah. But you couldn't do like social media. It was just like you had Snake and text.
I remember the T9 took you like a half hour to write one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to write it with like the letter 2 and all the rest of it.
That should be maybe a law.
Yeah.
T9's got to come back. Yeah, so just so it takes people longer to write a text, so I think it would cut it down like 25%.
But people are doing it now. People are buying dumb phones. There's brands out there now, I don't know the name of it, but they're like for festivals. So when you go to a festival so that you're not stuck on your phone, you like clip it to your shirt and it like records the festival. So you can like record everything, but then it doesn't like have all the other bullshit.
So it's just a camera.
It's a camera essentially, but you can still text and call. But you can't like go and view what you recorded.
That's good.
Yeah, it's clever. So it's like you pin it to your shirt, you can record everything that's happening. Sorry, I just punched the mic cape. Yeah, you pin it to your shirt, you can record everything, and you can text and call on it, but that's it.
That's really smart. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you need, man.
Yeah, because we got all these dumb tricks because we're such idiots where we're like, leave the phone outside the bedroom every night, or you know, leave the phone over here, or put it on grayscale. You know, all these little weird dumb tricks. Now turn off. I have an app that turns off Instagram after I've used it for too long. Yeah. And then it goes, "You want me to turn it off?" And I go, "Nah." So like, I don't even go with it, you know. But that's how bad. That's how like undisciplined we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We had a blast. Huge fan. Excited for your next set. When's your next special coming out, or your next tour?
Well, I just put one out late last year, so I'm still building the new hour. So I'm trying to shoot it in like January. So we'll see. Yeah. But I gotta say, talking about good podcast, good interviewer, great questions. You kept it flowing. Well done.
Hey, appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Today's episode has been brought to you by Rival, my agency. Now, if you're listening to this and you're a business owner and you're struggling on how to get your brand to go to the next level, then we're offering you a free discovery call with myself and my team. All you have to do is go to rival.com, rivyl.com. You need a name for your company. You want to do package design. You need to do photography. Whatever it is, we got you end to end. So just go to rival.com, rivyl.com, smash the link for a free call.